Hi, well here we are at the Multangular Tower in York. We're actually on the inside of it, and you will notice that it's it's actually an octagonal. You can't quite tell from this angle, and you'll notice that there are smaller stones at the bottom there. That's actually the Roman part, and up at the top, that's where we find the medieval walls that were added on top. So really, this part of Roman wall was still standing in the medieval times and noticeable, so that they could actually build on top of it. You'll also notice that there is a line of red bricks going around as well. Now those are a support layer course of bricks, so apparently it holds it supports the wall of stone much better, and there would have been a series of these courses of bricks as it went higher up in the Roman times. And as you can see, they haven't done that in the medieval times when they've brought the extension up in the medieval walls. You'll also notice down at the bottom there. Now on a better day I would go down into the area, but it's been quite wet just recently, so I'm not going to slip and slide down there for you. I will stay up at this point and just let's see if we can actually hone in a little bit closer for you. No, it's not going to zoom, unfortunately, for some reason. So there we find that there are the old sarcophagi. Now they wouldn't have been here. Oh, we've got another party coming by, so just so they wouldn't have obviously been there in the Roman times. These have been brought in from some of the cemeteries that were in the outer areas of Roman York. They didn't have the cemeteries inside the fortress area. They were outside, and particularly during the Victorian times we found a lot of cemeteries, and we're still finding them today, so still finding some of these sarcophagi. And also in the Victorian times, of course, we had the Philosophical Society being organised, and they are the ones that built the Yorkshire Museum, which is actually in the museum gardens beyond the Multangular Tower, which we see here. So they organised for these sarcophagi to be brought and put on display, and here they are still today. You can see vegetation does grow in them, and in fact, if I just turn around, because I'm actually behind the library. Now this wall that is extending this way is partly the old Roman wall again, but also you can see there's another building at the bottom there. That's part of the old St Leonard's Hospital, and this was a very large hospital back in the Norman and medieval times, and just that part there. Now some of you may remember the Time Team excavations that were done here, and they did actually open this up and found some more of the remains from that hospital. And in fact York Archaeological Trust did do a further couple of seasons here and found a lot more as well. And so there's the library, and here's another of those sarcophagi actually being used as for plants. Not human remains in there at the moment, just plant remains, and I'm sure they'll all be repotted this year, because we're now into 2024, ready for the summer, and a lovely display to be had there. Now if we just go back to this wall, as I say, we've got the Roman wall, the Multangular Tower. So this is the corner of it's the southwest corner of the fortress. So if you can imagine that, and there is actually a map up the top here. Let's just see if we can get up there. There are some steps for us to climb up. So this area is accessible. If you're coming to visit York, you can come and have a look around. And you can see that we're now on this footpath, and I just want to explain why we've got this path here. But first, let's just have a look at this plan here. So you can see there, it says "You are here." So that's the Multangular Tower that we've been just looking at. Just turn in a little bit further, there you go. And you can see it says the York Public Library as well. So you can see we're near to Booth and Bar, and this is the part that would go round to Booth and Bar and then through to Monk Bar. Of course, the part where there would not have been any walls in the medieval times. And we have to remember, there you can just see the dotted line. That's actually where the fortress wall used to be. So you can see it would have been a much smaller area for the fortress back in the Roman times. And if we just look around, just turn now. So the Multangular Tower is now behind me, and suddenly you see that there are different walls. Now, as I say, the medieval people, they built on top of that Roman Multangular Tower. But this part that we're now looking at here was very much overgrown. The rampart was still high, and they didn't actually see the continuation of the actual Roman walls. So they misjudged the angle of the straight line coming off from that Multangular Tower. So that's why, let's see if we can get my head in there, my hand in there, this wall here, and you can see there, it actually says 1960. Well, this is the medieval wall. So that's where they built that, and of course in the 1960s we realised that you know, there was a problem with it, and it was going to have to be all reinforced. So that's why you see that there's a lot of cobbles a little bit further down. This wall on my right hand side, you see my hand there, there we go, that one. This is actually the Roman wall, and if we walk a little bit further down, we'll see a third wall just in front of the library there. So there you can see that there is actually a third wall just before the library wall, and that wall is actually again part of that old St Leonard's Hospital. Now I just want to walk a little bit further along here, because there is evidence that there would have been, and I'm trying to find it, it's sometimes I find this very easy and other times I don't, but there is evidence of there having been the wall, the Roman wall, having been rendered, and I'm sorry I can't, is that one? No. There are these things which we call false joints, and it's an extra long stone. As you can see, hopefully you can see okay, the lighting is okay, you can see that there is, so those stones are quite small, and this is so that they could be transported easily. These stones were coming from Tadcaster, and so they, you know, to make sure that they could be transported nice and easily. I think the Romans were very wise at keeping them nice and small, not like the medieval people who just said, well, let's have nice big blocks and hope that we can carry them on boats and on carts, etc. And I'm sorry, but I can't find the stone that I usually look for. It's what we call a false joint, and what it is, it's that there is a few of these stones, slightly longer stones, probably about 2 to 3 times the length of most of them, and they have these little scratch marks in that look like joints. I say that's why we call them false joints. And so it is understood that plaster would have actually, and you can see that there are little bits of plaster still sticking on them even to today, and so it's thought that the walls were actually rendered with plaster. Now this is my theory, possibly to then paint it and make it look as though there's bigger stones so that it looks more impressive rather than these smaller stones. But so that's just my opinion. And we have found that other Roman walls that we still have around the country, they have also been finding plaster that has been attached to those as well. So you can see now, if I turn around and look back to where we came from, there we go. You can still see there now the Multangular Tower right at the back there, and you can see that there is just nicely a walkway here between the medieval, well, the more modern reinforcement of the medieval wall and the Roman wall. So you can nicely walk along here, and you can also see how the actual Roman wall is made up. And so you can see here there is the outer facing stone, which is the stone which we would look at either on the interior or the exterior, and you also find that there is this these stones with Roman concrete in as well, holding it all together, a rubble core. And you can even see that there is, in this part, there is part of those Roman bricks as well coming in. Let me just stand back so there, can you see that okay? So that's where there's a course of those Roman bricks, very similar to what we saw there in the Multangular Tower. I'm just going to go carefully along here. I'm just trying to remember if we can get out at this end. Sometimes it is open, sometimes it's not. You can see there are a lot of leaves around here. I'm just taking it very carefully. So if you do come and have a look at this, please do go careful. No, we can't actually get out at this point, but we used to be able to get around sometimes. We're now looking into a tower, and there would have been interval towers along the Roman wall, and there were also interval towers around the medieval walls as well. When you walk around those, you'll see them. Now this has always tended to be known as the Anglian Tower, and it still does generally get called that, but recently, well, in more recent years, they're now starting to think that actually it could be one of the later Roman interval towers that was built, or maybe replaced another one, because we do know that there were various different building phases of these walls. Of course, the fortress would have originally all been in wood, in timber, back in the 71 AD when it was first built, and then gradually it was then replaced by the stonework. So I'm going to make my way back up here, and there's a little gap a little bit further up, so I'll then be able to walk through and then get to have a look at that interval tower a little bit better from the other side. I had a feeling that I couldn't get through at that end, but I knew that there were a few other parties around. I didn't want to interrupt them at all. Plenty of puddles. We've been having a lot of rain over the last week or so. In fact, no, I'm going to have to go right back to the end, aren't I? That's the other area where I can sneak through. So just bear with me as we go back down here, and we'll have a look at that Multangular Tower again, and come back to the steps here. Okay, so just gradually come down the steps. Forgotten how steep those were. So we're on the other side. We're actually now on the inside of the fortress. But as you can see, on the outside of the actual St Leonard's Hospital. So you can see that it came almost up to the Roman wall. So it covered a very large area. And in fact, it extended way beyond in front of us there to actually where we have the Theatre Royal on St Leonard's Place. So a very large hospital area. Not all of it was hospital, there was also a church connected with it as well. And you can see here's one of the buttresses to the Roman walls. You can see that's a crack in it. Thankfully still holding up though. And then now you can see better that interval tower. And just you may be able to see at the top of the interval tower, it looks as though there's a lot of moss, etc. growing. Well, in fact, what they're doing, and I can show you it here, they put this in last year. Can you just see? There is, just see if I can get that to, there we go. Can you just see that there's netting, etc. there? They're doing this, hoping that this will actually protect the top of the walls. Now, they haven't done it all along, but they have done it in certain sections. So we'll see if that does actually work. Hopefully it will do. But I mean, it's been here for nearly 2,000 years, so... But we do have to protect these things for the future, obviously, because, you know, pollution, etc. It could very much damage all these older structures. So here we are at that interval tower again. Well, we're now looking at it from the inside, and you can see how they would have actually been able to getting there and going on duty and climb to the top so that they'll be able to look out. And the other thing we have to remember, on this side of the both the Roman wall, so if I look there you can see the Roman wall, and up above you can see just beyond that medieval wall, and beyond there on this side of York would have actually been a forest known as the Galtres Forest. So this is probably why they've got this interval tower, and say several running along this line of the wall, to look out to see if there's any enemy hiding in that old forest. The forest is long gone now. There may be one or two trees still surviving, but certainly the forest itself has long since gone, unfortunately. And it was quite a fair bit of it was cut down in the medieval times, and probably in the Roman times as well, to try and stop the enemy from attacking. And of course in the Roman times the enemy would have been the local tribe, the Brigantes, and the Brigantes didn't really like the Romans being here. The Parisii over on the east side, they seem to accommodate to the Romans a little bit better, but the Brigantes, we always tend to say that they didn't seem to like the Romans quite so much, invading their territory. Now there is a sad story, I'm afraid, to this interval tower for more recent years. Just going down very carefully, there's another load of leaves, and I think the actual plaque, yes, unfortunately there used to be a plaque here, but unfortunately it's now gone, which told us of that sad occasion, because when this was being excavated, unfortunately somebody died here. They'd actually, the section wall actually collapsed on them, and unfortunately an archaeologist was died whilst they were trying to excavate this, because they would have excavated down from the top there, and been digging out the inside, I expect, and unfortunately the section collapsed on them. So archaeology is not necessarily a safe occupation, I have to say. I have had many sections collapse on me, and just hitting the back of your leg is not fun. So to imagine that it's, you get the full force, not nice. And just to finish off here, we can see now how the rampart built up over the centuries. So you can see the bottom one there, Roman bank, 1st century to the 4th century. We've then got just behind it what they're calling the Dark Ages, which of course would be more the Anglo-Saxon and Viking period, 5th century through to the 10th. And then just above that, let's see if we can get this up, there we go. Above there you see the Norman bank, which is the 11th century to the 12th century, and above that is the medieval one. So you can see how this area has gradually built up over time. And I think I'll leave it there, and I'll show you the other part of the Multangular Tower from the other side another day. So thank you very much. Bye.